Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, Keeper of Hearts, by Griz Calderon. Timmy was just 9 years old, a bright-eyed boy with tousled brown hair that often fell into his eyes and a smile that could light up a room. His parents were hard-working and loved him dearly, but their busy schedules made them believe they couldn't care for a pet. So, Timmy found another way to fill the void left by the absence of a furry friend. Timmy's heart belonged to animals, especially those without homes. He was drawn to the creatures that others overlooked. Every day after school, he would rush to the local animal shelter, spending hours petting the dogs, playing with the cats, and simply being there for the animals who needed comfort. The shelter became his second home. The rows of cages, the smell of newspaper and disinfectant, and the sounds of anxious animals yearning for attention were all familiar to him. As an only child, Timmy sometimes felt lonely, but he never felt alone when he was with the animals. He understood their pain and longing for love, and he made it his mission to give them as much affection as he could. His favorite book was The Giving Tree, and he saw the dogs and cats in the shelter as the tree in the story, giving all they had, asking for nothing in return. Timmy was especially attentive on the days when the shelter had to make room for new arrivals. These were the hardest days, the days when some of the animals who hadn't found a home were put down to make space for others. Timmy knew what those days meant, and it broke his heart. He couldn't bear the thought of his friends being taken away forever, so he made sure to be there, spending every possible moment with them. On those somber mornings, Timmy would wake up early, his small hands trembling as he packed his favorite book into his backpack. He would arrive at the shelter before the sun fully rose, the air still crisp and cool. The staff knew him well by then and gave him space to do what he needed to do. He would walk quietly to the cages, one by one, and sit down outside them. With a gentle voice, he would begin to read The Giving Tree, his soft words filling the room with warmth and love. The dogs would sit, their eyes fixed on Timmy, as if they understood every word he was saying. In those moments, there was no fear, no pain, just the connection between a boy and his beloved friends. Timmy would end each reading with a big hug, pressing his cheek against the soft fur of each dog, whispering, "It's going to be all right." He would call them by their names, assuring them that they were about to embark on a journey to their forever home, a place where they would be loved and cared for, where they could run free, healthy, and happy. What Timmy didn't know was that he was never truly alone in those moments. The Grim Reaper, a dark, ominous figure in a flowing black robe, always sat beside him. The Reaper was there to collect the souls of the dogs, to guide them to the other side. Though Timmy couldn't see him, the Reaper's presence brought a sense of calm and peace to the room. He made sure that the dogs understood Timmy's words, that they knew they were loved, and that they were not alone. As Timmy read, the Reaper would sit quietly next to him, listening to the familiar story. The Reaper had guided many souls from one world to the next, but something about Timmy's pure heart and genuine love for these animals moved him deeply. The Reaper did not agree with the ways of humans, their need to take lives to make space for others, but he was not there to judge. He was there to perform his duty, to collect the souls and ensure they crossed over without pain or fear. As the shelter staff carried out the sad task, the Reaper would gently take the souls of the animals, sparing them from pain in their final moments. He made sure that their last memories were of Timmy's voice, his warmth, and his love. To the Reaper, these animals were innocent. Their only desire was to love and be loved in return. Timmy kept a journal, meticulously documenting each animal he met, their stories, and the experiences they shared. He took pictures of them, capturing their spirits in a way that made them unforgettable. Over the years, this journal became his most treasured possession, a testament to the love and care he had given to those who needed it most. As Timmy grew older, his love for animals never wavered. He continued to volunteer at the shelter, doing everything he could to make a difference. Eventually, when he was old enough and his life had settled into a steady rhythm, he adopted a dog of his own, a loyal companion who loved him unconditionally. But even then, he never stopped visiting the shelter, never stopped reading to the animals who waited for a home that might never come. Years passed, and Timmy's life was filled with love, family, and the companionship of the many animals who had crossed his path. He married, had children, and shared his passion for helping animals with them. His dog, who had been by his side for so many years, grew old and frail. The day came when Timmy knew he had to say goodbye to his beloved friend. On that final day, as Timmy sat with his dog, he gently stroked its soft fur, whispering, "It's going to be all right, boy," while pressing his cheek against the warm fur, holding his beloved pet close. In that moment, he felt something he hadn't experienced since his days at the shelter. A strong, calming presence filled the room. Though he couldn't see anything, Timmy felt the same peace, the same sense of calm that had always enveloped him on the darkest days at the shelter returned to him once more. The Reaper took the soul of Timmy's dog, as he had done with so many others before. And Timmy knew his friend was going to a place where there was no pain, only love. As time passed, and Timmy himself grew old, the memories of the animals he had loved and cared for remained with him. His journal, now filled with decades of stories and pictures, was a testament to a life lived with compassion and empathy. Timmy's children and grandchildren would read the stories, understanding the deep love their father and grandfather had for the creatures who had crossed his path. When Timmy's own time came, he felt no fear. As he drifted into the final sleep, he once again felt the familiar presence. This time, however, he saw him. The Grim Reaper stood at the foot of his bed, tall and imposing, his hooded robe flowing like shadows in the dim light. His face was obscured in darkness, but his presence was not one of menace. The scythe he carried was not raised in threat, but held with a sense of solemn duty. Beside him, Timmy saw the shimmering forms of all the animals he had ever loved. Their eyes, filled with the same love and trust he had always known, were there to greet him, to welcome him into the place he had always told them about. The Reaper spoke, his voice gentle and full of respect. "Timmy," he said, "I have been with you throughout your journey, from the days you spent at the shelter to this very moment. Every soul you touched remembers you. They carry you with them on their journey, just as you carried them in your heart." With a solemn grace, the Reaper handed Timmy a book. Timmy reached out, his hands trembling slightly as he took it, and instantly recognized the familiar green cover. It was The Giving Tree, the book he had read so many times to comfort the animals. A wave of emotion washed over him, knowing that the Reaper had kept it for this moment, so he could read it once more to the souls he had cherished. The animals had loved hearing the story just as much as he had loved reading it to them. Tears filled Timmy's eyes as he looked at the countless animals gathered around him, their love and gratitude shining brightly. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. The Reaper nodded, a rare smile touching his lips. "It's time to go home, Timmy," he said softly. "You've done well. You've given so much love, and now it's your turn to receive it." As Timmy stepped forward, he was enveloped in warmth and light. The souls of the animals surrounded him, their love lifting him, guiding him to the place he had always known was waiting for them all. In that place beyond the veil, where there was no pain, no suffering, only endless fields and a sky full of light, Timmy found his forever home. And there, in the company of the animals he had loved so dearly, Timmy was at peace, knowing that every word he had spoken, every hug he had given, had made a difference. The reaper watched as Timmy joined the animals, his heart full, knowing that this gentle soul had found his place among the stars. And so, Timmy's journey ended where it had always been meant to, surrounded by love, in a place where he would never be alone. The end.